You're all good.
Scotty, beat me up.
Okay. I'm back.
Technical difficulties. We'll just leave it up to that. Sorry.
No, you know what it is? Zoom isn't letting now that um the pandemic isn't as crazy bad as it was before. They're kind of like, all right, we're getting rid of the unlimited Zoom calls.
So we just
now
gotta restart it.
We're back to 40 minutes.
We just gotta restart it.
Yep.
So that was so you were going out with your episode going with Picard No and stuff like that. Sorry.
Oh yeah. And those are my favorite episodes. It was between those two, because I love the one where Riker is just, trying to blend in with the Klingons. And he's trying to eat their food and just follow their customs, and it's really great. And there's a lot of fun moments in that with them too. And it also has that other exchange program. I can't remember his name. I think his name's begins with it's like Martog or something. I can't remember, but he has that weird vapor thing that's he's breathing these vapors, and he's this alien that kind of doesn't tell Picard oh yeah, there's a organism eating the ship. I'm just gonna figure this out on my own. And it's just and then he gets zinged for it. It's just yeah, but it's but yeah, no, those are my two favorite episodes. And people are probably like, what, those two? But I don't know. We all have our favorites,
I think for me, a lot of it is TNG as well. So, when it comes to series, TNG, Captain, Picard, number one, Riker, Doctor, we're going to go with Beverly, Worf, the same thing with yourself. Engineering, I had to tell Bruce I have to get back on that one. And little did I know, someone would do something to break Triz's heart. Still out. It's still out
Not me.
there. No, but no, Geordi still. Again, it's a lot of TNG. But my favorite episode was Survivors, if you remember that one from TNG.
Yes. Wait, Survivors is the one where the alien race comes down and destroys basically the civilization that's on the planet, but one of the guys is an alien, and he preserves his house and his wife. And is that Survivors?
Yes. Where
he's
the one that destroyed the Husnuk.
He basically confesses, and he's I wiped out all Husnuk.
Yes.
All of them.
With a thought.
That is, yeah. And it's great, because I remember Picard's response to that. It was we have no law for what you've done. And it's which is kind of crazy, That's I love that episode. That's a great episode too.
And
it's really sad.
Well, did you know, the one thing I actually just learned recently was that before that episode, the actor's real life wife passed away.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
So I guess it was just told to me, actually. I didn't even know about it. So he kind of used that. And even when I first watched it, I kind of not I'm gonna say realize it, but I could feel something, right? He was able to convey an emotion through his acting of losing his wife, of killing that whole race. So I thought that was pretty heavy. It's the one that stuck out to me over the years. And again, of course, TNG, because I got into Star Trek through TNG.
That's a fantastic episode. Yeah, that's a great one to be as a favorite. There's so
really
many. How can you just have one favorite of these hundreds of episodes?
That's true. I mean, episode 9 was going to be one of them, but anyways, so we're gonna keep rolling. So that's awesome. I love that. It seems like you and I have the same influence in Star Trek, which is TNG.
Yeah.
And I really do love it. But talking about Star Trek though, how did you get into Star Trek? What was the moment that captured you? Like that one going, okay, yeah, I'm a Trekkie.
I think it was watching the films. Watching the films really got me into Star Trek. So I was just really young, and I think I would always watch Wrath of Khan and Search for Spock, and basically the trilogy, which is Wrath of Khan, Search for Spock, and The Voyage Home. Yeah, and I watch those the most, and after just watching them constantly, and all three movies are just so very different. And then I was just like, I'm really getting into just this world, this universe, and then just kind of getting into TNG, and then watching all of TNG, and then well, not watching all of TNG, but like kind of like halfway through watching TNG, going back through TOS and rewatching all those based on like, fortunately, my uncle had like every VHS copy of every TOS episode, so I was able to binge back then on those VHS tapes. But
VHS.
which you could probably buy at like dollar stores for like $1 or something if you find them in a bin or something. But yeah, I kind of went through that, and I just kind of, just there's just so many like amazing messages and just stories and just acting, just these amazing character moments, these amazing acting, these great scenes. I just kind of was just like, yeah, I can easily like just be a part of Star Trek like for the rest of my life.
You are, sir.
Yeah, it's a little weird. It's still surreal now. I'm still like not really uh used to it. But yeah, it's wild. So that's kind of like how I got into like Star Trek, is just like watching. It started with it kind of like when I realized that how much I loved it was with the films, and then I started exploring the episodes more. And then that was around the time like TNG like aired, which I think was like in '87, I think somewhere around there. So yeah, but that's just kind of where it is. I just love the films. They're so well done. And actually, if you're ever going to ask me what my favorite film is, and people are probably going to disagree with this, it's Star Trek 3 Search for Spock. That is, and a lot of people like really hate on 3. Well, there's like this weird thing about like the odd numbers are bad and the even numbers are good. And I like really disagree with that. I don't agree with that at all. Like, I think, episode Search for Spock, Star Trek 3 is like my favorite because there is so much important moments that happen in Search for Spock that's just out of control. Like Kirk steals the Enterprise. He's like never gonna be a captain again after pulling a stunt like this. He's probably gonna go to jail or whatever. Kirk's son gets killed. David, and I'm sorry, gang, this is like super spoilers. So people who've never seen Trek, I should say this is like super spoiler talk here. But it's like, David gets killed by the Klingons, which starts up like Kirk's hatred for the Klingons. The destruction of the Enterprise. I mean, come on. This is like the Enterprise that we're currently watching right now. I mean, I think like the Enterprise from Search for Spock, that was the end of it. It just kept getting refitted until Kirk blew it up. And that is like the Enterprise from, the Strange New Worlds, that's the Enterprise where everyone went to that hall plating and signed their name on it. All those moments on that ship are now gone. And also that is one of the most amazing way to defeat your enemy. It's just by blowing up the ship, where Kirk is just like, all right, send over your crew, we surrender or whatever. And then they come over, he beams off, and it's like, all right, it's blown up. It's like the ultimate FU to your opponent. And something, it's like, if it was board gaming, it's like the ultimate table flipping. He's just like, whatever. Yeah. I love it. And of course, the return of Spock. There's so many amazing moments that happen in Search for Spock. So I think that's kind of one of the reasons why I really defend that movie a lot. And that's always going to be my favorite. Sorry, we're going off on a separate tangent. I inserted another question.
But this is what we want, to be honest with you. To find out what makes you love Star Trek is what we want to learn about. And especially with someone who's working on current Trek, it's so awesome to hear this. I'm not kidding you. I'm about to change my uniform I'm not gonna lie, because it's well, again, these conversations we have kind of
That's why
nightly.
I'm behind you, Z. I'm comforting you right now. That's why I'm like, here you go, bud. Just I'm here for
That,
you.
that's awesome.
It's
But
almost really it's weird like seeing me back there because I'm almost like it's both you and me interviewing me. It's
yeah.
almost like I'm prime Matt
Hmm.
and that one is mirror Matt. You should have put a beard on me. It's like, it
Don't give me
would
ideas,
have been
because
the mirror universe
I could
of
do
me.
that. I could do that. I have some skills in that. I would say mine is Nemesis, just because, and
Oh
my
yeah.
it's because of just mostly the spaceship pew pews.
Yes.
I do like that. That's actually what got me into Star Trek, was the ships. And it's funny, I said this, I think I said this to Bruce. What I love about Star Trek is ships, characters, and
Yes.
then the stories. Funny, and Strange New Worlds has ticked all of those boxes. And I normally tend to lean over to the ships first, but what Strange New Worlds has done has gotten me so engaged with the character development, hence
Oh
why my
yeah.
face was leaking, the episodic type of uh, single, sort of self-contained episodes. It just makes so much sense to me. And maybe it's because I'm used to those from before, right? In a sense where it is hitting a lot of notes from my childhood, because this is where
Mm-hmm.
I got into Star Trek, was TNG around. I'd say it was, I'm not sure if I was watching reruns or whatever, but I was 12 years old, I think 12
Oh wow.
when I was watching that. And just I remember seeing the galaxy just kind of graze that, that same scene they use over and over again, where the Enterprise goes up and down, the camera goes on the screen. It just looks so beautiful to me in terms of ship wise, and that
Mm-hmm.
she'll always have a place in my heart, the Enterprise D. But no, this is, I mean, I want to be respectful of your time. I just want to make sure we're okay for time,
No, we're good. We're
um,
good.
because I want to find out what like I said earlier, is why are you a Star Trek fan, is the most important in this conversation, to be honest with you. So if you feel you need to insert, go ahead, please, sir,
No,
do
this
so.
is
So now
no.
we know that his favorite movie. We now know his favorite movie.
Which
So,
is kind of weird because like the trilogy, I always considered a trilogy like one big movie.
mm-hmm,
So it's like I always tell people, it's like, well, if you want to watch a trilogy, you got to watch all three. You just can't watch Wrath of Khan.
mm-hmm.
You can't watch Wrath. You got to watch all three of them.
To
They're
make
all
sense,
like
yeah.
it's like Lord of the Rings. It's
Mm-hmm.
like it's all one film. So
And you have to watch it so that they can tie off and here and there and all that stuff there. So,
right.
okay, so now here is the next question.
Okay.
How did you get the opportunity to work on Strange New Worlds?
Wow. Well, the this is gonna be a long one.
Right?
So the stars really aligned for this moment,
Mm-hmm.
and I still don't understand how it happened. Um, but it's kind of like a funny opening to it is that I've always wanted to work on Star Trek, or not just like work on Star Trek, just be a part of like Star Trek. Ever since I was like a child, this is just I loved it. I always wanted to be a part of it. Um, I always imagined like how cool it would be just to be like part of the crew, whether you're like the actor or you're just like working on the show or movie or whatever. And then after Enterprise, that dream basically was gone. It was pretty much crushed because there was no Star Trek shows for like the next 12 years. I mean, Star Trek, it was like the longest, like, well, I don't know if it was the longest law in
It's
Star Trek history. I don't know. I can't remember the length between TOS and the film, but it was long. 12 years is a long time for no Star Trek to be on the air.
that's a childhood.
Yeah, especially yeah, and so the one funny thing in post production on like shows in the film industry out here, the most important thing that producers are looking for, like in an assistant editor or just a worker who's going to be on this season, is can you finish out the season? And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
because everything is so tightly timed on a schedule that if like one person leaves, now you got to find a replacement, but maybe there's like a drought of this particular worker, especially for AEs right now. It's really hard to find like AEs right now. And it's like, you have to kind of delay stuff or put that workload on another person until you find like a replacement. So the biggest thing is they always want you to finish out a season. That's a big thing. And it's also like it's etiquette. You don't want to like jump ship mid-season, you know. It's devastating. So I would always tell people, producers and stuff, like during interviews, I would always just say like, yeah, so you know, I will never leave a show before it wraps. You know, I'm here for the long run, for the season. If you leave after the season's over and you're not on season 2, that's okay. They just want you to work like the full season. But I would always joke, and I would always say, I will never leave a season before it wraps unless Star Trek calls. And they knew I was joking. You know, I was like, they knew who I was and they knew I was joking, and everyone knew that like Star Trek was like gone. You know, there was no Star Trek for a while. So it was like kind of like this big joke. And I used that joke for years, and it was hilarious. And we all had a great laugh because everyone was like, okay, yeah, you're fine. Star Trek is not coming back, whatever. Then Discovery drops their teaser. And I was like, oh shoot, I can't tell that joke anymore. Because now people are gonna think I'm like this like flight risk, and it's like, oh well, we can't hire him. He's as soon as Star Trek calls him, he's gonna be gone. And then it was really funny because when I got the call, and I got the dates, I was currently on another show, and I called my producer, my post producer, and you know, he's a really good friend of mine. I called him and I said, hey, so when did we wrap? And he said, did Star Trek call? And I was like, yep. But fortunately I didn't leave early on that show. That was a show. It was actually timed perfectly. As soon as we wrapped post on that show, Strange New Worlds post was starting. So it was like the timing was perfect. But it was hilarious because it was the joke that like manifested itself into reality. It was just crazy. So now if I ever went to another show, I can never use that joke again. That joke is gone forever. But no, that's the long part of it. But how I really got the call was a lot of this industry is networking in this industry is so incredibly powerful. I mean, it's more powerful than a college degree, like at some points, not all the time, but at some points it really is, especially for like editors and assistant editors. You know, it's all about like networking. And you know, when assistant editors are kind of done with the show, we have this very strange time with the editors, because once all the episodes are locked, and there might be like a hiatus between like, you know, a season, and it might be a long hiatus on some shows. Some shows it's like a 4-month hiatus or something like that until the new season starts. So the editor will go off and take another job, maybe like a shorter gig or something like that, but they can't take, you know, the assist, because the assistant is, we still have to do other than we have to do a lot of like the turnovers to like sound and online and to, you know, the VFX, and you know, we have to stay through to the end. So our timing's off because now our editors have gone on another show, they've gotten another assistant editor, and when our duties are done, we kind of become like Ronins. You know, it's like we don't have a show or a home or an editor to work with, and we're just kind of like looking for the next gig to go. We're kind of like these like hired samurais, and it's kind of crazy, but and that's kind of how I got this show. Like, that's kind of how I got this gig. It was my editor called his assistant editor who was already on another show. That assistant called another assistant who was on another show. That assistant called my good friend who is also an assistant, who then called me because he knew how much I love Star Trek. And it just kind of went through the grapevine. And I said, and he was like, I can't take the show. I would love to take the show, but I can't take it because I'm already on one. And I was like, I will I am absolutely interested in this. Please,
Yes.
please relay the message back via whatever networking you can to get this back, please.
Wow.
And it did. It went back through, and here I found out that my editor that I'm with right now, we worked on a show 5 years ago together, and we didn't. He wasn't my editor on that show. I was with a different editor, but he was on the same team. He was third team. I was first team, and we all hung out. We're like a big Post is like a big family. It's and we're all hanging out with each other and everything, and it's great. And he called me and he was like, "Oh my gosh, Matt, how's it going?" I was like, "Oh, how are you?" It's like it was great. So yeah, and I was like, I'm definitely interested. Let me know. My show's ending, and I'm gonna be free. And he basically sent the news over to our supervising post producer, and she called me and just kind of went through the whole interview process and just said, "Oh yeah, I used to work with Wes and all this stuff," and just told her all the shows that I worked on before and stuff like that. And that's how I got the job. So it was really like the stars like really aligned for this moment. And it was really great talking getting that phone call from April. April Nakafora, she was our supervising post producer. Now, I don't know if you're watching Discovery 2 or Strange New Worlds. At the end, you probably noticed a card at the end of the first episode of Strange New Worlds, and one of the episodes in Discovery, I can't remember which, but it said, "For April, we love you." April was our post producer, supervising post producer, and sorry, unfortunately, like tragically, she passed away in December from a long battle with cancer. And the news hit a lot of us, just echo through the Star Trek family. I mean, she has an incredible history with Star Trek, dating back all the way to Deep Space Nine. She was on DS9, Voyager. She was doing Discovery, Picard, and Strange New Worlds, and battling cancer. I mean, the amount of strength she had. Sorry, my hands are shaking.
No, you're making me.
She was so dedicated just to the Star Trek world, and she was just so kind and just funny and supportive. And she was, and many others, she was our captain in post-production. I mean, she looked out for us. She was just incredible. And when we got the news, it was just devastating. Star Trek is family. I mean, we're all, like I said, like our editorial team. I mean, we all editorial teams, like we all hang out together, and we all just constantly, we're like a family. And in a sense, this show is my second family, because it's like I'm at home, and then my second home is Star Trek, where I spend the other half of my life. So we're all like a big family, and the dream of being a part of this family, it would not have been possible if it wasn't for April, because she was the one who hired me. And for that, I will always remember her, and may her memory be eternal. We love you, April. I mean, it's we miss her so much. But yeah, if it wasn't for April, this would just all still just be a dream, and I probably would not be where I am today. So a lot, anyways, sorry.
Why do you keep pulling on the heartstrings?
I'm sorry.
Why do you? No, you know what? I will say this. When you were talking, and maybe it's because of how I can sort of relate a lot. I felt it. I really felt your connection with her. And again, I don't know her obviously, but when you can tell when someone is genuinely speaking about someone who they, at whatever level you can consider that, they love, and you showing that was just pure raw love that you had for, again, like you just spoke to, the opportunity, the relationship you've had with. I'm gonna have to check that I'm gonna have to check that out. But that was, I appreciate, what, I thank you for sharing that. That was a moment. That was, oof. You got to stop pulling
sorry.
on. No, you're not sorry.
Don't mean to take it out.
You're not sorry. No,
but it's important to like honor her. It's
no.
like, and just to see like her history with Star Trek and how much she was just, just how much joy she brought to this world. It's incredible.
I think it is important to give the respect, however you want to word it, however it relates to you, the respect and or love or whatever it is, to those who helped you, especially for you. I mean, right now, you saying that without her, you wouldn't be in this situation, right? And again, it just shows again how your love for Star Trek. And this is exactly why I wanted to do this, is because to find out these little nuggets that we can hold on to and know, well, yeah, this is why, I am a Star Trek fan in my way, but you are too still. And that's what I want to find out. How much of a fan, man, and you have like deep roots, like, I mean, like deep roots. So I appreciate you sharing that with us. That was, you're gonna make Triz leak again, face leak.
I'm sorry, I don't want to make your face leak.
No, no, thank you. That was awesome. So having off of that, and I'm not sure if you're gonna make my face leak again. What is your favorite Star Trek Strange New Worlds moment so far? But from 1 to 9, because of course we can't talk about 10, but because of this, as of this.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, for sure. My favorite. Favorites.
All the episodes I worked on. No, I'm just kidding.
I have a little bias. It is all the episodes I work on, but that's but that's mostly because it's like I've been with them the most. Like I said, I've seen those episodes so many times. I was with those episodes from the beginning. From like the raw footage. I know the line. I know like all the lines by heart at this point. But boy, my favorite moment so far. All right, well, I will say the Montana scene in the pilot is one of my favorite. Just that the whole teaser in the pilot is great. Just when it just starts out in his cabin, starting with the day the earth stood still, watching it, and Patel's like, oh, this again. He's like, what? It's a classic. And just like, and just that whole bit where like the communicator's going off and he's like,
no,
I'm not gonna answer this. It's like I got higher clearance than you, and it's like, no, not for this. and I think it's really great, coming off of like Disco season 2, which I love. That season is so good, and the end, just the last 4 episodes are intense for season 2 Disco. I mean, it's just a phenomenal season. And just being in the know, like as an audience member, it's like, it's like, trust me, Patel, like we know you cannot know like what is happening. You don't want to know. But no, I love that whole thing. I love when like Robert April comes down and just like, you got to get back on that horse, Captain. And he's like, you don't want me on that ship. And just all like that, it's a combination of just incredible amazing writing and just amazing actors just delivering these just incredible lines. Just these back and forth. These scenes are so good. So I do love that. That might be my favorite, because I could watch that a lot I'm gonna go back to another tie.
Mhm.
It's another tie. The other one is episode 4, Memento
Memento
Mori.
Mori.
That's one of my episodes. The one where him and Uhura are talking. This is in the 4th act, at the end when they're about to hook themselves up so they don't get blown out into space.
Mhm.
That whole bit where, Hemmer's trying to comfort Uhura and just saying, it's like, one of my favorite lines in this is, and Hemmer's like, you humans are, just so, you're so like concerned about death. It's like,
That was
Xenar
cool.
believed that, the end only comes when, I'm trying to think of what the line is. But even though after I just said I memorized all these lines, but yeah, it's just like, the whole to fix what is broken.
To fix what is
It's like, what is your purpose to fix what is broken? That
broken.
whole exchange between Uhura and Hemmer, and just kind of like them, just like Hemmer, showing Uhura like all of like, well, this is what life is like as an engineer. It's like when she's like finally like configuring the machine that's about to explode, and he says, "Great, now we can get started." And she's like, "Get started?" It's like, yep. Now you know what it's like, the world of engineering. And so I love all those moments. So episode but that moment to fix what is broken is one of my favorite lines in Strange New Worlds. And it's delivered by one of my favorite characters. And finally, this is the second because it's freaking amazing, is the Serene Squall when Spock just freaking launches that pirate across the bridge. And he just like comes up, he's like, gun, pick up. No, he's like, gun, smash, boom. And he just launches him across the bridge. I laughed so hard. Not that it was like goofy. I laughed from like excitement.
Yeah.
Like this is the coolest thing I have ever seen.
Like giddiness.
Oh God, I was just loving that. And every time I watch it, it's great. That's coming in a second. So I'm gonna probably have to say tied for first, Montana to fix what is broken, and second place, Spock launching the pirate across the bridge. It's incredible. Just thinking about it, just like Vic just gets me all like.
So hashtag
yes.
Team Himura was born.
Oh gosh. Team Himura strikes again.
And we're gonna get into that again later, sir. I'm just gonna you're not off the hook on that one yet. But no, that moment so far I'm gonna reserve yet because I think I told you this. I've been ranking episodes from 1 to 7. 8 and 9 I have not been able to rank. My heart is still broken.
Mine's a really hard one to like rank because it's like you want to love it, but at the same time it causes so much emotions.
Yes.
Hurt.
Yes.
It's hard. I get it. I get it if people say like 9 is not my favorite episode. And I get it. I get it because it's like they want it to be their favorite episode. But I can see why, because it's kind of hard to say like the episode that gives you the most like heartbreak is your favorite. It's like you want the episode that gives you to be your favorite episode, the one that's just like, oh, it just makes me laugh, I get like really excited or something like that. And it's like the ones that, like, for me anyways, I don't know, for like other audience members it's probably very different, but for me it's like I have a hard time like ranking like my favorite episode, the ones that gives me the most heartbreak, because it's like, oh, it's so hard to watch that episode because it just makes my heart hurt. But I love it. But I absolutely love it. But it's hard to make it my absolute favorite. So that's that. But that's just kind of where I stand. Episode 9 is it's an incredible episode, and there's a lot of emotions. And I sound really calm about 9 because I've had a whole year to recover from 9.
I'm still recovering, but I think
it's a very open wound for a lot of uh
You're just putting salt.
audience members. Oh, just
You're just
yeah.
just
I
sprinkle that salt on there. Just
yeah.
that's all you're doing. I mean, but that's the thing. When I rank these, I'm not necessarily, because there's an episode at the end. It's not necessarily bad.
No, yeah, no, absolutely not.
It's just a level, right? I mean, if anything, each episode has been able to get me emotionally engaged. I've been able to, and something I've spoken to, like I've been able to connect to characters, to moments, more so characters. That's where, if there's a character that I can say, I don't want to say love-hate relationship, but it's been just up and down with how it's that character's been portrayed in the episodes, is La'an. La'an has been very.
I love La'an.
Oh, I mean that's why episode
no,
one
go ahead.
is
I'm sorry.
still one. Episode
Yes.
1 is still number 1 for me, because I didn't expect La'an and Pike, that relationship, to sort of be that way. I didn't, and then all of a sudden you go to episode 9, it's like, again, like a full complete circle. But then there's times for me why episode 2 with Uhura, I love that episode. Her singing voice, oh my god, it's so good, her singing voice. But I felt La'an was just too over security-ish. Like a snarl, just kind of. But for the most part, La'an is really a character that I've just been up and down with in terms of my connection with her.
Yeah, and it's like La'an, it's like, it's hard for her. It's tough because she's been through so much. It's like she's, her whole situation with the Gorn, like through childhood, and then growing up. She's talking about in episode was it 3 with the light virus.
Oh yeah, yep. Mm-hmm.
The Illyrians.
Yeah.
And just her whole thing where how she has her last name, she's kind of has to carry around her name, and it's just there's a lot of feels for La'an. I just feel really bad for that character. So I don't mind if she kind of can be like standoffish at time, where she's just like, I'm just like I'm a security officer that's taking my job like very serious, like almost like way too serious at times, with the whole like all of her, and this is going to like episode 6, with going through all her rules, her security rules, which is great. They're kind of like the rules of acquisition. It's like, I wonder, I want to know how many rules La'an has for her security. It's like she's probably got like 265 rules of security. But I want that character. It's like you're just watching like Strange New Worlds, and it's like, man, this poor character, it's like her history with the Gorn, her history with her name. It's like, I just want her to get like a moment of happiness,
right?
Yeah. And I guess she gets that in 8 when she becomes the princess.
Oh my. Okay. So hold on to that thought. We're gonna restart this. Hold on to that thought. Meeting 8, or episode 8. 1 sec. Captains, will be back. 1 sec.
All right, we're gonna take a break.